Yeah, hey John, you know, do we have anything running Redis and memory databases for some of our processes?
Well, yeah, everything is.
Well, we need to chat.
Oh no, another CVE of the week.
Another CV of the week.
It's Friday, October 10th, and this is IT SPARC Cast CVE of the week, where we tell you about a common vulnerability and exposure entry that you need to know about and how to mitigate ASAP. And this one impacts almost everybody using cloud services, so
Oh,
you
good
should pay
Lord.
attention.
75% of cloud services run this in-memory database from Redis. So what we found or what we've learned about from a few sources, but I believe a tip of the hat to the Hacker News on this one is a critical remote code execution vulnerability known as RediShell, which is CVE 2025 49844 was recently disclosed affecting Redis servers that use Lua scripting. Now, folks, this is 10.0 on the O crapometer. This
It's
is
a bad one.
complete ownage. It's an authenticated attacker can exploit this 13-year-old bug to escape the Lua sandbox and execute arbitrary code on the underlying host system. Ow. So it impacts any service or application that uses a vulnerable version of the in-memory database, which is estimated to be 75% of the cloud environments. The extent of the impact depends on how Redis is deployed and configured. So if you're using Lua scripting, I think you're pretty much nuked. The other thing is there's one caveat on the updating. So let me run you through how it works. The flaw is a use after free memory corruption bug in Redis's Lua scripting engine. The impact is an attacker can send a specially crafted Lua script to manipulate Redis garbage collector, trigger the UAF condition, and achieve remote code execution. This grants the attacker full access on the host system, allowing them to do exfiltrate, wipe, or corrupt sensitive data, install malware or cryptocurrency miners, steal credentials such as SSH keys and cloud tokens, move laterally within cloud environments. The authentication requirement, exploitation typically requires an authenticated user with permission to run Lua scripts using the eval or eval SHA command. Now, one of the problems is there are specific versions of Redis that enable that by default. So depending on the version you have, it may be turned on depending on your deployment model by default. This is severe risk. It's considered critical and widespread exposures. Security researchers identified over 300,000 internet exposed Redis instances. Of those, an estimated 60,000 have no authentication enabled, making them highly vulnerable to attack. All right. So if you've got no
That's insane.
authentication, assume you're toast. If you do
Yeah.
have authentication, good for you. Do not expect that you're safe. You got a little bit of breathing room, assuming they didn't get any of your password. Right now, what you need to do is update immediately because this thing, it's a 13-year-old bug. It affects Open Source Community Edition 822, 804, 746, 7211, and 6220, right? It's everywhere. Now, if you're on the Redis cloud, you're okay. They
Right.
patched you. They already
Right.
pushed the patch out. John, could you run us through some of the mitigation
Yeah.
if you're
So
exposed?
yeah. So the thing is that this reminds me of the fact that garbage collection you would think is kind of a safe uh, 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 routine to run. It's just clearing out memory that's not used anymore, just clearing it out and getting it out of the way. And so this reminds me of the Death Star in Star Wars. It's an exhaust port. It's fine. It's like, well, it's a way in and to blow everything up. But yeah, so the thing is first of all, if you're running it yourself, definitely make sure you're updated. Even if it is hosted, make sure it is updated. And then you got to understand whether you are actually impacted or not. And that's the critical piece. So you want to, take a look at all your hosts, see if there's any odd processes running. Are there any Lua processes running? If you're not 100% sure about a host, isolate it until you can investigate it further, because it could be doing damage as is if it's already in there and running. And while you're going through this, make sure you preserve evidence, because there may be an investigation that's required. So don't just start deleting files. Put them somewhere safe. Put them off on a separate storage system that's not going to get run as you start going through this. But make sure that you are preserving that evidence. And then, most important, rotate all of your credentials related to Redis. So that's your passwords, your API keys, any other service account credentials that might have been exposed. Get all of those rotated and changed. Even if you have to go through and force a system-wide password change for everybody, next time you log in, you got to change your password, do it, because otherwise, who knows what could be compromised at this point.
And I'm going to go a little bit further. Limit network access to your Redis instances. You need to start locking this stuff down. You should, at the very least, have an ACL in front of that, so that random internet users cannot insert Lua scripts into your system.
Yeah,
that is like table stakes. You have to do that. And there's Redis security best practices, such as don't run Redis as root. Well, guess most of you probably are, because that's the easy way to deal with permission problems. And I'm not just like harshing on you. I've done it myself and it is stupid, right? But follow their guideline, run it as a non-root user with specific permissions, disable unnecessary commands. And I think that just about covers it, John.
Yeah, I agree. I did get before we wrap up, I do want to mention I got a quick note from Tyler. Sent me an email, and he was saying regarding last week's episode where we were talking about the vulnerabilities in the Intel and the AMD processors. And his question was, do you think that this will accelerate the transition to ARM in data center? I thought that was an interesting question to ask. And I think that transition's I think it might happen. It's going to take a lot longer. We're going to see the AI components start really pushing harder. We definitely are seeing the transition to ARM when it comes to your desktop and your laptop systems happening at a rapid pace. And that's, I think, a good thing from a power consumption standpoint. It's also good in a data center from a power consumption standpoint as well. It's just a question of whether everybody's ready for it. Whether this impacts that or not, I honestly don't know.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think the motion that I'm seeing right now on the engineering side is that a lot of the data center stuff, they've been trying to go to ARM, and the ARM is in there, but most of the manufacturers and the startups I'm seeing are moving to RISC-V, because the chip architecture is open source. You can get in there and monkey with it all you want. And there's been a couple of brand new startups spun out of Intel and a few other places that are working hard on this.
That's a good point. But to extrapolate on Tyler's question, he's asking more about the move away from the x86 and x64 architecture to something else.
I don't think this is a function of the architecture. I think this is a function. All of us are trying to secure against speculative attacks, right?
That's a good point.
And all of us are using speculative caches, even RISC-V. That's how you get incredibly high performance out of these systems. It's got to make guesses. How we lock that down, I think AMD does a better job, personally, based on some of the earlier Spectre type class of attacks. They had a split cache, at least, that was much harder to get into. But I haven't seen anything serious on ARM, but I would imagine there were a couple of exploits out there that were able to go after it. So overall, right now, our mad scramble into data center is less about the processor and more about the vector processing for AI.
Yeah.
That's the spot to watch.
Okay. And that is going to cover this episode. We couldn't do this podcast without listeners like you. We want to hear what you think. Do you have a topic you want us to cover? Send email to feedback@itsparkcast.com, just like Tyler did, or hit us up on X at IT SPARC Cast. If you're on YouTube, you can leave a message down below. We read every single comment, every bit of feedback we get. And if it's particularly interesting or insightful, we'll read it out on the broadcast. So with that, make sure that you hit like, subscribe, turn on notifications. That way you never miss an episode. And from the world of enterprise IT and security, take care.
Stay safe out there, okay?
Our Redis database has been pruned.